13 Flower Border Ideas. Yellow alyssum, like creeping phlox, is often used as a flowering ground cover plant. It contrasts strikingly with grape hyacinths not only in color but also in another respect: it is a bad-smelling flower, whereas grape hyacinths are fragrant flowers. But if you don't need flowers for their fragrance, yellow alyssum will surely wow you with its color. For American gardeners, a popular idea is to create a summer flower border using red, white, and blue flowers. Such patriotic displays are usually composed, at least in part, of annual flowers. Annuals are inexpensive bedding plants, allowing you to plan an impressive display without breaking the bank. If you want all of the plants to be in bloom at the same time, such as around July 4th, be sure to choose plants that will bloom in unison. If you think your plantings always have to be complex to make a big splash, think again. This petunia flower border requires no help from other types of plants to dazzle the onlooker with magnificent color. The border also employs some clever tricks to suit its urban location. Catmint flower borders are pretty, but they can lack pizzazz if left on their own. In this example, catmint gets some help from tubs of petunias. The containers are not disguised, and rightly so, since the ceramic tubs are gorgeous. Flower borders sometimes take the form of flowering edging plants. Here, wax begonias Begonia x semperflorens cultorum create a colorful ring of alternating red and white flowers around a shrub bed. Autumn joy sedum is a late bloomer that's ideal for fall displays. A long-blooming perennial, planting it assures continuous garden color from late summer until the first hard frost. It's not always prime time for a particular flower border. For four-season interest in the landscape, the key is to plan a flower border with just as much of an eye for foliage as for flowers. In this garden, purple fountain beech tree provides a background to the golden type of creeping jenny ground cover in the foreground. This flower border also exhibits a pleasing variation in texture. For example, while the creeping jenny has leaves with a fine texture, the presentation of the hosta plants behind them is considerably coarser. This flower garden border pulls out all the stops with multiple components to keep the viewer interested. In addition to perennials, it exhibits ornamental grasses can play a role in flower beds, too. In fact, the tall or medium-sized types can play several roles, including different textures and plant forms can spice up a flower border considerably. The two bright red flowers in this garden are Love Lies Bleeding and Coleus. Coleus is an annual foliage plant that is indispensable for gardeners looking to experiment with color combinations in planting beds. It's a classic shade plant, although many types do just fine in bright sunlight as long as they receive sufficient water. The spectacular plant in the middle of this flower border with red stems and deep burgundy leaves is Castor bean plant. This is a great example of how much a foliage plant can do to spice up a planting. This large flower border with black-eyed Susans helps illustrate the principle of proper scale. If you can imagine a much smaller flower border in front of this home, you can see how it would be swallowed up by its surroundings. A house and landscape of this measure require a flower border size to match. Layered flower borders are composed of rows, or ranks, as the British say. A layered perennial planting features tall perennials in the back row and short perennials up front, with medium-sized plants growing in between. Designers sometimes stray from this regimen for effect, as when a relatively tall plant is installed in the front row to make a strong statement. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more interesting videos. And please hit the like button for the YouTube algorithm.